I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Another thing I learned from spirituality is like the level up that you go through is amazing. I got those. You really realize that you get spiritual abilities. I got the dark marks around my eyes, like I said in my last video. I got the dark mark around my nose, and as you get deeper into it, it increases, and you realize that you can do different things. Like just by thinking about it, I can make my lights cut on and off. I showed y'all that that's just part of it. But I didn't talk about the third eye. Through my third eye, through my third eye, which is located on the top of my head. Well, actually, I got three of them. I got one at the very top of my head. I got one in the middle of my forehead. That's the one everything come through. Then I got one on the mid part of my nose. Then I got one down there at the bottom of my nose. It's like three or four of them that I can channel through, and I can see things through. It's an amazing experience. And then another thing that I've learned that I can do is when I manifest or wish for something, I'm such a strong manifester or wisher, it will pop up on TV just by me thinking about it. Like if I'm watching something on YouTube and I think about Disney World or I think about Auburn or anything like that, a commercial for Auburn or a commercial for Disney will pop up on the television. Or if I'm thinking about a certain person at a certain time, either they'll text me or a video will pop up with them on it. That's called manifesting. I realized I'm an extremely strong manifester. I can manifest whatever I want and it will become a reality. It's an amazing experience to be a part of as a spiritualist. I can manifest and control whatever I want. It's like I realize I control my own destiny. And everything I ever been through in my life, it was just part of God's plan to get me right here. Because I used to look at my life and I used to regret this or regret that when I was younger. Man, I wish I had have done this. Man, I wish I had have done that. But now I see it's all part of. It was always part of God's plan to get me to do spirituality. Because the reason why I say that is because before I started doing this, I was in college for about 6 weeks, but and me and my mom had signed a permission slip that they had to have for me to continue after the 6 weeks, and we sent off for it. We signed it and we sent it twice, and they didn't let me go through with it because it did never arrive. We still to this day don't know what happened to the little permission slip thing, but now I understand it. That was God's way of getting me out of the situation I was in because although I was doing great, He knew my heart and my soul wasn't really in it. I was just in it at that time because I didn't realize I wasn't thinking for myself all the way, and I wasn't being true to myself. And I carried a lot of hatred in my heart a lot of years, thinking that putting it on different people, putting it on different situations. But the truth was, I wasn't being true to myself, so that was causing me to have a lot of outward anger and a lot of outward negativity. I hid it well, but I had a lot of inner hatred within myself. A lot of things I did as a kid, it like I enjoyed them and I remember them, but I remember my soul feeling full, and I remember me having a lot of anger for no reason internally. I never showed it externally, but internally, I've never like since I was younger, I didn't really feel happy in the inside, but I never really said anything. But when I got into spirituality, it really made me let go of all that and fix my soul from the inside. So now I really love myself and I really love my life. And I realized that bitterness or that angriness or that fullness was because I was holding things in and I wasn't really expressing what was going on with me. Spirituality made me realize if I just open my mouth and I share it with people instead of going with my own delusions of what's going on and actually talk to people, I will find out it ain't as bad as I thought it was. A lot of that was controlled by my own thoughts and and my own narratives I made up in my head and made myself believe. But in the same way, that same attitude caused me to go through school and make straight A's, either straight A's or AB all my life. And that was like what I would tell myself because where I was from, it was like when I was younger, a lot of people didn't want to deal with a disabled kid or they didn't know how to deal with a disabled kid. So they had their own way of dealing with it and I had mine. And I used that as fuel to make it through my school career. It's like in my mind, I thought they thought I was slow, or I thought they thought I wasn't capable of doing what I know I could do. So my mindset was, I'm gonna prove to you how valuable I can be. I'm gonna prove to you that just because I have this disability, I can still be a productive member of society, and I'm just like you. And that's what ability I used to get me through high school and get me through life until I had to end up going through something severe to get me out of that mindset. And the severest thing I had to go through was me having my last surgery, the mess that completely took everything away from me and built me back and started this whole spiritual process. I'm thankful for it because the road I was going down before all that happened was going to be a fake potentially lifeless road that I didn't want to go down because I was feeling lifeless, I was feeling empty. I always felt like I was searching for something. I never felt at home no matter what I did until I got into spirituality. I feel like this is mine. This is something strictly that I can do that makes me comfortable. It's the one thing that I've been searching my whole life for. It turns out if I had to look inside myself instead of looking out there, looking at everybody else, looking for somebody to follow or somebody to grab onto. If I had looked inside myself, I could have been this happy years ago. I could have been this content with my life years ago. I just had to be brave enough to look inside myself and stop avoiding my own feelings. I had to stop running from me, running from my destiny, running from what I was born to do. And that's what I just want to teach you guys to do. Don't run from yourself. If you have a feeling, embrace that feeling and chase it. Because that feeling can be the very thing that changed your life. That's the one thing I regret. That's the one thing I would go back and tell myself, if I had any, was to embrace that feeling that tells you to speak up for yourself when you're younger. Embrace that feeling that when the teacher call you in the classroom and nobody want to go first, that feeling that tell you to raise your hand first, embrace it. Don't That's called your intuition and you need to embrace it. Don't run from it. Or you gonna end up living a bitter, angry life and you gonna have to end up going through something way severe to get you on the right path. Stay on the right path and listen to that voice from the beginning so you won't have to go through everything this version of you had to go through to realize he was just being hard headed and making his life harder than it had to be when he could have just embraced it earlier and did what he was supposed to do. You just can't run from life. You have to accept it, accept your gift, and accept yourself for who you really know you are, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion, though. about my life and my experience.